Welcome back, traders, to today's video on Bitcoin, and we're also going to be looking at the corresponding assets or assets that correlate with Bitcoin as well. So this video might be a little bit longer than you're used to, but bottom line is the idea is that we want it to be packed with useful information that can help you on your journey to collecting those amazing coins that we all love and care so much about. So if you're new to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on the notification, and drop us a like. Now, once again, if you're also new to this channel, I just need to give you a bit of a heads up in terms of the tools that we use to assist with the analysis. Okay, so these are the three things that we mainly use, right? There's additional, but the three main ones are: we use the volume profile to help us with our trades. We also use trend lines as well to help us with our trades, and we also use market structure as well to help us with our trades. So these are the three things that I mainly talk about on this channel, hence why it's worth you going back and looking at some of the playlists I've put together for you guys. So the main one being how I use volume profile. There's a whole bunch of videos in there, so just go through them if you are quite new to the idea of volume profile, and just follow along with that. Also as well, I want to give a big shout out to all of my viewers and supporters that have been supporting me for many years, right, since I started this journey of sharing my point of view on the markets. I appreciate you all, and I thank you for your unwavering support. So with that said and done, we're just going to get into the nitty-gritty of Bitcoin, right? So as it stands, based on last week's analysis, right? So last week's analysis, we were looking at this structure up here, okay? I was of the mindset market was going to break up. Market did break up, did break to the upside, only to return back into it again. So these are the things that market did, right? And as we can see right now, market is currently sitting above the value area high of the volume profile inside a low volume node, which is sitting right here. Okay, so I'm just going to highlight this area for you, right? Now normally, because we are doing day trades, right, this is one of the biggest things that you need to take away from this channel if you just got on here, right, is we're looking for moves that take a little while to come together. Okay, so some of these moves that we talk about in this video, sometimes we could be talking about the same thing for about 2 weeks in a row before we get any type of movement, right? And it's the same as what we got going on in Bitcoin right here, Bitcoin right now, sorry. So what we have is Bitcoin has returned to the value area high, right? So it's returned to that location and it's pushed off again, but is yet to close above the the low volume node, which is sitting right on the top side. Now overall, my sentiment in Bitcoin is that it is super bullish, right? It is super bullish. Even if we get price close all the way down and it comes to point of control, which effectively will mean it's brought it to the trend line that I've just drawn, okay, I still expect it to push upwards. So as it stands right now, I am not gonna be waving the bearish BTC flag. I don't think there's anyone in the trading community that is waving the BTC bearish flag. We are all of the mindset that Bitcoin is going to be pushing up. It's giving all the signs and signals to say that it is going to be pushing up. And if you are tapping into Bitcoin and you're getting it at low prices, say I don't know 109k and below, you are effectively getting BTC at a discount, okay? And the biggest discount that I can see in regards to this trend that we got going on right now is if BTC is to return to the area of roughly around 96k. If it comes to that level, you are getting it at a discount. You can tap in there and then if you're a long-term investor. There's nothing wrong with it, because bottom line is you're only going to sell when you're in profit. Makes a lot of sense, right? But however, if you're someone of a swing trader, day trader, that type of investor, then naturally I would say if you can exercise a bit of patience to see if BTC is in fact going to return to point of control, which is at 96k, then you will be getting that at a discount. At the same time, if BTC is to leave 117k, okay, this is where it breaks above the low volume node in this area right here, then you could pick some up there too. But at the same time, I believe you run the risk that Bitcoin may do a retracement and you could be left holding the bag, depending on how big your position is, right? So with that said, let's just see overall what we got going on in terms of anything else that I may have missed out in regards to what BTC is doing. I think we kind of got the overall gist as to what BTC is doing right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to split the screen, right? We're going to split the screen, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring on ETH. So we're going to bring on ETH. And we're going to look at ETH on, say, Binance, right? We're going to look at ETH on Binance. We're going to see what's going on there. I'm just going to drop the volume profile. Oh, we're on an hour, so this is no good. We want it on a day. We're just going to drop. Oh, we already got it there already. Great stuff. We already got it. Okay, so all right, cool. So as we can see, just like we have with Bitcoin in this area over here, it's currently sitting in the low value area, right? That's where Bitcoin is at the moment, and we have a low volume node inside of this area right here, or it's just between it. So we have value area high. This is the low value area, okay? Anything above the value area high, and in there we have a low volume node that Bitcoin is playing in right now, and we're waiting to see what type of decision it is going to give us. At the same time, we have ETH in the low value area, so it's right here, so which is it's above the value area high, which is, and this area here is the high value area, so it's above that level right now. Okay, we can see that ETH has closed above a low volume node, quite a large one. That's it right here. It has closed above a low volume node. It's currently sitting on the top side of that right now, which is roughly about 4.7. okay, so 4k 765. This is where ETH is currently sitting at right now. Okay, let me just see what else I can see in this area. I'm just going to put on a little trend line. Just going to add another one here. Okay, let me just get rid of the second one. All right, so as it stands right now, this, let me see if this trend line is drawn properly, as a matter of fact, because it might have to move. Okay, so it is, yeah, this is the best. I have to put it here. I would have to put it here. Yeah, okay, so as it stands right now, what we kind of need to see is what happens in this area. This has become the most important location for us right now in regards to BTC. Okay, not BTC, ETH. So if this trend line is broken, it's fair to assume that we could look for sales at 3,812.31. we could look for sales at this level, but going off what I'm seeing BTC do right now, I'm expecting more of a bounce from this location than a collapse for it. It's just my thought, okay? And as I said, like in the coming days and weeks, that whole sentiment could change because the market is very, very, very dynamic and it does whatever it wants to do. So as it stands, the bullish sentiment that I feel towards BTC is being supported by ETH. As we look at it from this point of view, we do have a bullish FVG in this area right here. So I'm just going to highlight that for you guys. We do have a bullish FVG, right? Now, FVGs, once upon a time, I used to take them really seriously, okay? But now it's kind of touch and go. They are useful to know that they're there, but I don't take them as serious as I should, right? Well, it's not even as I should. That's even the wrong word to use. I just don't take them that serious, right? But they are important. They are important when used in the correct context. So, for example, we have another FVG in this area right here. And as you can see, price came into it nicely in this location right here, and then naturally moved away. So BTC, FVGs do have their value, okay? I do use them, but I tend to be a little bit more cautious as to how I use the FVGs, if that makes sense. All right. So the next thing that we're going to look at is Litecoin, which is pretty much looked at as the silver. If Bitcoin is gold, digital gold, then Litecoin will be digital silver. I know some say it's Ethereum. Well, I think it's more or less going to be Litecoin, right? Litecoin USDT. Let's have a look. Let's look at this on Coinbase. Okay. All right. So as we can see, Litecoin is hugging the trend line a fair bit, okay? We do have a low volume node in this area, so we're just going to bring that down because that has changed. So that now needs to be adjusted accordingly, right? So this is now how the low volume node looks. The area I'm talking about is this location right here, the indentation in this area. That is the low volume node. Up here, we have a high value node, okay? A high value node which is on the value area high at the moment. So a lot of trades are being done in this location right now as we see as we see Litecoin beginning to pull back down again, right? Now, in my opinion, although Litecoin has come into the value area high, I am still of the mindset that it is still bullish, right? It is still a bullish asset, and as it stands, we are in the process of being given a discount in regards to if you want to take a position in Litecoin or not, right? So I would say this. If you see price bounce above $113, okay, you could definitely consider locking in with your positions to the upside. Now, remember, this is not financial advice, right? This is purely an opinion based on what I would do and how I would do it. So, for example, if I was to see price go above 113.71, I would be looking at putting in buys to the upside. The only time I could consider taking sales is if I was to see price come below 105.62. That's how I would play the whole Litecoin situation. But as it stands right now, I am still of the mindset that Litecoin is going to be going up. It is bullish in my opinion. There is no reason for me to think Litecoin is bearish at this stage. If we look at it overall, the main ceiling that it will need to take out is it would need to take out 148.02. Once it clears that level, which I believe it will, okay, then that is a signal to say that it is going to be on this continuous journey to the upside. So there's no reason for me to worry in regards to what I think Litecoin may or may not do. As it stands, I am bullish on Litecoin, okay? Now, the next thing that we're going to look at is one that's basically has pretty much kept me up all night this today, right? Which is My X account has been buzzing with data in regards to XRP. Everyone is freaking out about XRP, right? So let's take a look to see what's going on there, because I haven't really taken a look. Let me just see what the hype is all about. And as we can see in regards to XRP, okay, let me just drop the volume profile on there. We're just going to take it all the way back here somewhere. Actually, no, I think that is not a good place to put the volume profile because things have changed a fair bit. Okay, this is more like it. Right, so XRP right now is exhibiting the same sort of traits that we've seen with Bitcoin. Okay, so first things first. It's in the low value area of the volume profile. This is the value area. This is the high value area. This is the low value area. This over here too is the low value area, and we have XRP sitting comfortably above that. Okay. Now, as XRP is doing its thing, we have a gigantic low value node or low volume node sitting in between the value area high, the high value area, and the low value area. This is the area that I'm talking about right here. Let me just make this a little bit bigger, and we can say it's gonna be from here to about here, right? And this level right here is the value area high. Okay, so as it stands, XRP went above $3.07. okay, it did that not too long ago. It's come back to it. It got very close to the value area high, which is this level right here, and it's now moving away. It's giving a parabolic push to the upside, or an all-encompassing push to the upside. I'm of the mindset it is going to continue to push to the upside again. I'm actually expecting that at some point today we may actually see XRP in around, say, $3.33. It could definitely get there, right? Because what we have in this area right now is, as it's pushing down on the day, so as it's pushing down, actually, as a matter of fact, the number that I've just quoted, that I don't think is going to do that today. We may get it at some point next week, but I don't think it's going to do that today, because I just had to double check. I am on the daily, so that move, unless big news comes out today, I'm not expecting it to do that at all. But I am expecting it to do that at some point this week. This is why I say what it is that I'm saying, right? Because I believe price right now, where it's opened, it's going to come all the way down, and it's going to fill this wick over here. Okay, then it's going to push up again, and then we may get a close above the low volume node today. This is what I think could happen today. If this happens today, then I believe that for the rest of the week it's only going to push higher and higher and higher, and the current all-time high, let me just make sure that I'm right with that statement. Yes, the current all-time high of $3.66, I believe will be taken out at some point in the coming weeks, right? So if not next week, maybe the week after or the week after that, but I think it definitely will be taken out, especially if we get a close above this level right here. And that's a matter of fact, where we are in terms of what price is doing now, I think this is a solid justification to put in a trend line, right? We have a solid justification for a trend line. So let me just drop it here, and let me move it to this one right here. Let me expand this a bit, make sure that I've got everything as symmetrical as I possibly can. Okay, so I believe that once we get a close above this trend line, okay, once we get a close above this trend line, I believe that the price point of $3.38, or the previous number I said, which was $3.33, will be taken out. Once that happens, I'm expecting $3.66 to be taken out. Once $3.66 is taken out, that's great. We can now look at this level over here as our potential new level for support if price clears that zone, which would be $3.67. okay, so in the XRP community, everybody's getting excited about the idea that XRP will be going up to $6. Looking at what I'm looking at right now, I believe there is a high possibility that it will be going up to $6. Okay, there's a high possibility that it will actually do that, and when it does, it's going to be great. It's going to be great for everybody, right? So with that said and done, I'm going to look at we're going to look at NVIDIA. We're going to look at NVIDIA right now, because NVIDIA is creates the graphic cards for a number of uses, right? A number of things these graphic cards are used for. One of them is Bitcoin mining, right? One of them is Bitcoin mining. And it's not only Bitcoin mining, just crypto mining in general, right? You need NVIDIA cards to really get the show popping. And as you can see, NVIDIA is popping right now. NVIDIA is popping, okay? NVIDIA is on the uptrend. It's looking very, very, very strong in its uptrend trajectory. It is definitely above the value area high. It's in a low value area. It is pushing up, as we can see with this parabolic move to the upside that we can see right here with this candle pushing up, okay? And although it's looking like it's about to do some type of retracement, I don't think it's enough to get anyone in a panic. So for example, say you're not big in investing in cryptocurrencies, but you are big in stocks, right? If you are big in stocks, then what I would say is, if NVIDIA is indeed about to do a pullback, okay, you kind of want to see how far it goes and where it lands. In my opinion, I think it's going to come to this trend line right here, okay? If it does perform that action of coming to this trend line and it begins to move away, that could be your indication to jump in. Reason why NVIDIA you kind of want to jump in, it's not even for the Bitcoin or the crypto mining side of it. It's just in the concept of AI, right? So this is the one asset that in terms of the digital space is pretty much is the GOAT, right? So not only is the cards being used for mining and other computing softwares, like chances are the system that I'm using now has an NVIDIA component in some way, shape or form embedded in it, hence why I can get this data out to you, right? But however, all the other AIs that's out there, ChatGPT, all these other cool AIs, either directly or indirectly, they are linked to some of these semiconducting companies or microchip companies, or it just goes on. I can't really reel off the types of semiconducting industries that they are. Obviously, we know chipping, so the microchips, etc. So microchips, graphic cards, which are components that we need in AI and everything else. NVIDIA is the goal of that. So NVIDIA coming back down, for me personally, that is a steal, okay? That is a steal. So NVIDIA coming down to say $106 or $109 per share. If you're not in, maybe you should consider getting in, right? Maybe you should consider, and once again, not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm only giving you my opinion, right? Based on what it is I see and how I see it. So the next thing that we're going to look at right now is we are going to look at AMD. AMD is another microchip company, okay? Also has links to the AI network as well, right? Because that's what it does. It does microchips, right? So we can kind of see the same thing, that it is at a high at the moment. With the consolidation build up on that side, it looks like there is a possibility that we may get a pullback down to say where I've done the trend line. It could go a little bit lower. And once again, when I talk about trend lines, okay, especially the ones that I've just put onto the charts themselves, they're touch and go, they're adjustable, okay? The main parts that you should take away from this when I'm talking about trend lines is the fact that there is an invisible level that price may want to go to. It's not a given, it's not a fact, it's just it may want to go there. That's why I've put that trend line there. Okay, so it's not an absolute, it doesn't mean it's absolutely going to go there, it just means there is a high possibility it will, because it's really easy for say AMD to come say lower than that. Okay, then what I'll have to do is adjust the trend line accordingly. All right, so the trend lines are not a fact, they're just there to kind of help guide us, but I do take these trend lines seriously based on how I have drawn them. Okay, so that's my own little style of how I draw trend lines. I've explained the logic behind why I do the trend lines in that way. I leave that to you to work out if it makes sense or if it doesn't make sense. Only you would be able to know once you've tested it out, right? So AMD is looking really good. AMD is looking great. It's looking super bullish, and it's looking like it might give us a discount. So once again, if you are interested in making investments in the graphics cards or the chipping companies that also directly or indirectly support AI, AMD, NVDA are the ones that you kind of want to look at. There is more, but those two are some of the big boys in the game in terms of graphic cards, right? Or microchipping technology, or microchip or semiconducting technology, right? I'm getting all my words mixed up. When I say microchip companies, it doesn't roll off the tongue right? It doesn't roll off the tongue right. So semiconducting companies, if that makes sense. Anyways, if I'm wrong, someone in the comment section definitely let me know if I phrased that entirely wrong. Someone in the comment section, let me know. I value your thoughts and I value your feedback. So where I've drawn this trend line, okay, before I put the volume profile on there, we can see it kind of makes a little bit of sense in terms of what is kind of flying through. Okay, so we've got a bunch of low volume nodes over here, we have a low volume node over here, and we have a larger low volume node over here. So we could get price coming to this location, say 131.35, and then move away, or we could get price come all the way down to this trend line, which will be at around $88.68, and then move away. But however, AMD is a solid asset to get behind, right? And once again, because I've said that, it's important I'll say this: I am not a financial advisor giving you financial advice. This is purely just my opinion, right? It's purely just my opinion. Every single content on this channel is all my opinion. It's nothing to do with you doing anything. You do that because you should have done the work, right? You should have done the work. So the next thing that we're going to look at right now is going to be Coinbase, which is a major in a sense of exchanges where the vast majority of us do trades in regards to picking up cryptos. Basically, in the Western world, right? In the Western world, the vast majority of people will have a Coinbase account, okay? Some also have Binance as well, Qcoin and the rest, but the vast majority, advanced to less advanced, they will have a Coinbase account, right? So chances are you watching this right now, you have a Coinbase account, right? You have a Coinbase setup. Whether you're using it, whether you have your cryptos on there or you have your cryptos on the ledger, that is touch and go, but fair play, your chances are you're using Coinbase. So what is Coinbase doing right now? Well, Coinbase is in a solid uptrend once again, okay? So I'm not expecting anything other than uptrends from these companies, okay? So if I do it to as far back as TradingView will let me go, okay, we can see that this too is holding the vibe of Bitcoin, right? So it's in a low value area, it's above the value area high, it has done some type of pullback, but it looks like it's now moving away. Where it's moving away from is a low volume node area right here. Okay, so all of this is supporting BTC being bullish. all of this is supporting BTC being bullish, right? So I'm expecting this to continue to push up. If you wanted to, once again, not financial advice, you could tap in right here. You could tap in right here, because the possibility of Coinbase closing above $446, in my opinion, is quite high, right? Especially this gap over here would need to be filled, right? So there's a high possibility that it could definitely do that. Based on what it is that we're looking at right now, I can just say comfortably with my chest that we may have seen a fantastic opportunity to tap in if you haven't tapped in already, and that will be in this zone right here. Okay, once again, not financial advice. All right, not financial advice at all. So the next thing that we're going to look at right now is Michael Saylor's baby, right? MicroStrategy. So let's take a look at that. Now that should look very much like the Bitcoin chart. That should look very much like the Bitcoin chart. Let's have a look. And it does look a little bit similar, but we do have it under the low volume node area. Okay, now at this point, based on what we've seen here, I would have considered selling, right? Based on the fact that this situation happened, I would have considered selling, and naturally I'll be sitting there holding the bag right now, praying to everything that I hold dear that price doesn't push up to 371.42. Why? Because chances are my stop loss will be in that location, right? So what would have been a smarter move, right, would have been to wait for this trend line that I've just put on here to be broken, because in my opinion the trend line is actually quite legit. It's quite solid, right? It's quite solid. Would have been to wait for the trend line to break if I did decide to put in a sell at this location right here, which would have been 339.81, right? But however, I'm not really in MicroStrategy like that. I don't have a position in there like that. So so this is all just a hypothetical. It's not real, right? It's just a statement. But based on what I share with you on this channel, okay, this is a move that I would have taken. I would have taken that move as a sell, and I would have got it wrong, right? Now, if I was to work out how many times a move like this will appear and how many times I will take it, so whether a peak above the low volume node or a peak below the low volume node, how many times I would get it wrong, out of say 10, I would say for every 10 trades that I would have put in, I would have at least gotten 7 dead on the money. Bang on, I would have been profitable. Okay, so based off that, I will still stand by it, and this is why it's so important a channel like mine exists, because not only will I give you the rationale for why I would make a decision over here, but I'll tell you that not everything works in perfection. So I don't think there is a system that any of us can use, right, that will give you a winning probability every single time you enter the market. If there is, nobody's talking about it, and I haven't come across it, right? But however, we do have higher probability setups, and this here is one of them that did not work out, right? That one over here is one of those types of situations that did not work out. Why? Because it just didn't work out. It just didn't work out, right? So as it stands, until we get price close above 171.58, okay, I am still of the mindset, I'll be of the mindset that MicroStrategy might want to play around at this level a little bit longer. It might want to play games at this level for a little bit longer. Reason being is, I don't think this is a bearish setup. I don't think this is a bearish setup at all, right? What I actually do think is that it is a bullish setup, because Bitcoin is bullish, right? And remember, the whole of MicroStrategy's money basically is based on the fact that Bitcoin remains bullish, and I believe Bitcoin is still bullish, right? So based off that, I am not in a hurry to say this is a downtrend because we had a close below this level right here. I would want to wait, and then what I will also do is I'll put a trend line right here. I will drop it on top of these peaks over here, and I'll wait to see if we get a close, and the close should take place somewhere above 406. So a close above 406 will give me the indication to say that this is still pushing up, and before this even gives me 406, I would have seen it here in Bitcoin first, right? I would have seen it there first. So with that said and done, I wanted to look at Ethereum Classic, Bitcoin Cash, and Doge, but I think I'm just going to skip on those for now, and we're just going to keep it where we just left off in terms of what I've just presented to you guys. So with that all said and done, okay, if you found the content that I've shared with you today useful, make sure you hit that subscribe button, you turn on the notification, and you drop us a like, and I will see you all on the next one.